Well, I was gonna make that a little shorter. I couldn't figure out how to. So, even though we are into the brevity of Moorhead politics instead of Moorhead City politics, our intro is rather long. So we're here again with Shane Guthrie. We're pleased to have you on again, Shane, and of course my co-host Jeffrey Brown,
Good
and
evening.
we just good evening. How are you guys doing tonight,
I'm doing
I'm
great.
I'm doing well.
Shane?
Thank you all for having me again. It's good to be with you guys.
It's good to be with
No problem.
you,
Welcome back.
and welcome back. And you said you're tired. It's been a long campaign, huh?
It's yeah, these have been run about 7 days a week. Some days 12, 13 hour days. So it's thank goodness coming to
Yeah,
went to a winding end.
yeah, that's a lot. And luckily, what? So the third is Tuesday coming up, right?
Correct. Yes.
Correct. Well, Shane, there were a few things. One of the things that we didn't get to talk about was we didn't get to talk about your. We'll put your website down there at the bottom, Shane Guthrie for sheriff.org. And you also have a website. The website. I mean, I'm sorry. You also have a Facebook that's on the website. You'll be able to see get to the link through there.
Yes. Go at the very bottom. Got my you can click on the Facebook icon and get my Facebook. Shane Guthrie Sheriff as well. And I got a bunch of videos I put up showing talking about my programs. The several programs I've talked about bringing here to Carter County that I want to implement here.
Okay. Okay. Well, it was on your Facebook that I saw a video where you talked about, and you talked a little bit about. I can't remember if it was on air or off air, where you talked about with us about a particular call that you had from God for this run, and both Jeff and I are well, we try to be men of faith. We are men of faith. We are of the kingdom, and we are interested to hear more about that. Wouldn't you say, Jeff?
Yeah, that's I think it's always good.
Well, my father he's a retired Methodist pastor. My father, he was in the Coast Guard back in the 60s. He ended up working at Cherry Point for many years, about 10 or so years. He got a call to go into becoming a pastor. He did that he started, went in it for a little while, went back to Cherry Point, and then he went back into the ministry. He stayed in the ministry for the rest of his time. I've always been a Christian, believe in the faith. I haven't always followed him like I should, and I certainly haven't always listened to him like I should have. But now that I've gotten older, I'm definitely a man of faith. I listen to him a lot better now. I try to certainly listen to what he tells me to do these days. Long story short, when Asa made his announcement on November 18th that he was going to run for Congress, something kind of hit me in the chest, and I just started praying. And I pretty much prayed. I prayed for over 2 weeks about this, but I was praying to God. I said, "You need to send me a sign that this is what you want me to do. I don't want to do this on my own. I don't want this to be about me. Please give me a sign." And well, really, the next day, one of my best friends, I grew up with him here in the Highlands, called me up and says, "Did you hear about Ace? He's not running for sheriff. He's running for Congress." I said, "Yes, I heard." He said, "Well, you need to run for sheriff." I was like, "I'll think about that." So I
Mm,
prayed some more. I was like, "Well, God," I said, "God, that was probably just coincidence. I'm gonna need something else." And a couple of days later, actually, a deputy, I'm not gonna mention his name, but deputy from the sheriff's office called me up, and he said, I heard you're interested in running for sheriff." I said, "But I ain't said nothing to nobody." And he said, "Well, you need to run." So
Ah,
I said, "All right, God, I'm listening."
yeah.
But I kept praying and praying and praying. And I talked to my family, I talked to my kids, and just made sure that they were okay with it. Talked to my employers, my current employer, just make sure they'd be on board with it, because I mean I'm selling insurance, and I didn't want to be any kind of a problem with them, because obviously I have
Mm,
to have a job. And this, even if I do get elected, I wouldn't take office anyway to December 7th, so I have to continue to
wow.
work. So I want to make sure they'd be okay with me running and things that go with that. So they said they would support me on that. So then I made my announcement on December the 5th
Wow.
to run. So it was 18 days after the sheriff and I made his announcement. I made my announcement I was going to run. So I prayed pretty long and hard about it. Um, Matter of fact, I had a conversation with my father about a month or two ago. I was like, was it my thought or my idea when I was younger to leave here and go to Pitt County and work at sheriff's office there, or was it God's idea? So I think God puts us in different situations, and
Yeah.
in our life and things He has to do. You kind of think it's your idea, but was it really your idea, or was it His idea? Because I mean, I've learned a lot in Pitt County, like I told you in the last podcast. I mean, it's Greenville is a very very busy agency. I mean that we did a lot. There was a lot going on, but I learned a ton of knowledge up there, and they gave me a wealth of experience. So I'm wondering if that was His calling, sending me there, or was it my idea? I'm thinking it's more His idea now. Now that I'm doing this,
Hmm.
and it's just like I'm not sure if I told you this story or not about sitting in the Moore City Parade. Did I tell you about that story with talking to the lady? I guess
No,
not.
no.
Well, I got the Moore City Parade for Christmas parade, and they give you an assigned position. You got to be in an assigned spot for the parade starts. And they give you his number. I got to sit there, and right beside me was this other person, this other lady. Well, the lady walked over to me. I remember telling you about the company that uses the artificial intelligence for ICATs.
Yeah.
Well, that was the lady who walked over to me and was telling me about this. And she says, she was telling about this company, and they're using ICATs for this reason. And she says, I want to partner with you. Well, that's got to be God working in mysterious ways to put her in that right beside me in that parade. So God, in my opinion, works very mysteriously. But that's just the kind of things that just, okay, God, this is you. This ain't me.
You
Yeah.
know, it's we all say that. I say it myself, but sorry, I got a little frog in my throat. I think though that he's not real mysterious. I think sometimes we just don't pay attention. So when we
Yeah.
do pay attention, we're like, oh, mysterious ways. But I think a lot of times he sends us a lot of signs and gives us a lot of messages. It's just a
Yeah.
matter if we're paying attention to what he's saying, you know.
Well, I think at this
Um,
time, my age, I was telling my dad, I was like, maybe he told me things, maybe it's what you just said. You're not really paying attention. You don't really realize he's talking to you. But like I can't remember everything I told you last time, but it was just like the other program I was coming up with my child sex exploitation education program that I didn't come up with it. I was having a meet and greet with a girl that was a former federal law enforcement officer, and we were talking about the whole human trafficking thing, where she was doing that kind of work. I did that kind of work, and when I left there, came home, went to bed, and 4 a.m. work slam up, and came up with this program. I was like, all right, I mean, that came with, and she was involved in it. That lady, that woman I met
Hmm.
the night before, I said that was from him. They weren't from me.
Hmm.
That's what I said. I went, woke up, called her on the way to work. She said she'd be all about it. I mean, that's from God. That was not my idea. That was His idea. So now
Hmm.
I've learned how these things that pop in my head is just it's got to be from Him. I have no doubt in my mind it's from God. That's just the way it is.
that's it. That's who it is, man. That's for sure. I don't doubt it
So
anymore. I'm just like, okay,
yeah,
I get
I
it.
don't. When I was younger, you don't really listen to. I obviously didn't listen to a lot of things He said apparently, and those things it just never worked out for him very well. So now that I'm older, and I try, so I'm definitely going to listen to what He tells me to do because you know it's easier to sell insurance in my opinion. I'm and what I'm doing now, I told you earlier, I'm taking a pay cut if I get this position, but it ain't about the
Hmm.
money. Um, but
Yeah.
it'll be more rewarding. And if God's calling me to do this, that's why I'm fighting so hard to do this and try to win. So it's going to be in His hands regardless.
Well, that sort of brings me to one of the questions I had. Same question we asked Franklin was if by circumstance you don't win, what kind of role would you want to play with whoever does win? Would you be open to to could it be that God has you, if you don't win, that he wasn't wrong, that he wanted you to bring some of these programs in, whether through winning, we hope you win, or through cooperation with whoever does win? Would you be
Well,
open?
I mean, I'm fine with giving them, everything I know. I mean, it's not something I think I would like. For me, I couldn't like. I have no desire to go back as. I mean, even if I got asked, like if Franklin, whoever, I wouldn't go back as chief deputy, nothing like that. I don't have an interest in that. Um, I mean, I just feel if I'm gonna do this, I would need to do it as a role as a sheriff. That's really the only way I can actually, in
Mhm.
my mind, to implement these things. I ain't got no problem telling them, here's what I've got. Here's the way I would do it. You can roll with you see fit. I would probably
Mhm.
continue to stay where I'm at and do what I'm doing. Um, because I mean, the thing about it is me going into the role of sheriff. My retirement stops that I'm receiving now.
Right,
And that so I don't want to go back. I don't want my retirement stop and go back in a different role like that. I mean, it have to be
right.
the sheriff or you know.
What about the flip? How open are you to incorporating either John or Franklin, if when you when and if or if you I should probably should have more verbiage ready for this, but if you win, how open are you to incorporating them into your plan, into your administration?
Well, I'm open to Franklin. I think Frank will be open to me. I don't believe John will be open to any of it. I don't think he
Really?
has any interest in it. I don't think he would, and I know he wouldn't be having any interest in listening to anything I have to say about anything in my stuff. So I'm just being
Have you
honest.
guys clashed in the past?
No, no clashing. We've always been copacetic. Everything's been. I mean, he's fine, but he doesn't. He doesn't. I mean, the bottom line is Nyberg is a nice man. I have nothing bad, ill will to say about the man at all. He's a nice person. Um,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, he's a retired state trooper. I mean,
Mm.
all he's ever done is traffic. I know they say he's been the sheriff's office almost 10 years now, but he's been sitting behind a desk since he's been there. He's never worked the road as a deputy sheriff. He's never done any investigations as a deputy sheriff. He's never done anything as a deputy sheriff, other than sit behind a desk doing administrative work. There's a big difference between administrators. Like I say, you could be the greatest administrator in the world. You could be an administrator of a hospital. I'd be the great administrator, but I don't want that administrator working on me doing heart surgery on me either. I want the doctor
Mhm.
doing the heart surgery. I mean, and
Yeah.
realistically, you've got to know. They say we got people to know how to do these things underneath you. Well, but as a sheriff, the buck stops with the sheriff. No, it's no buck intended, but the buck stops with the sheriff. And as a sheriff, you need to make sure they know what they're doing and they're doing it right. Um, Administration work is easy.
Hmm.
I mean, I've done it. I mean, I've owned my own business. I have business up in for over 20 years. I ran a satellite was dish network retailer. Um, I mean, it's just a
Hmm.
larger scale as far as budgeting. So, but with a budget that big anyway, you should have an accountant to start with.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, $17 million budget. There should be an accountant that's going through it, and you just overseeing it. Um, my understanding, they're just sending the stuff over to the county's finance department, and let them go through it now. Anyway, that's like I ain't really keen on that. I rather have my own accountant going through there, line by line item, so I can make sure everything's being spent properly. I mean, when it
I
comes
like
to
that.
numbers, I'm pretty good with numbers anyway because
Hmm.
I'm a numbers guy. But
Um, speaking of that, so and you don't have to say, do you like so you win and you get elected, do you already I mean, like you were saying, I mean, do you automatically are you gonna does it usually did you pick a new chief deputy or does he keep his position or do you pick your own chief deputy?
That's
How
a
does
good
that normally
question.
I,
work?
I've got my idea who I'm going to be chief deputy. He won't be a retired state trooper. He would be a deputy sheriff. Um, More than likely somebody that's already currently at the sheriff's office or has been at the sheriff's office. Um,
Okay.
I mean, it's not going to be. It's going to have to be somebody with the knowledge of the sheriff's office who understands the sheriff's office, who's actually worked his way through the ranks. He was a deputy sheriff at one point in his life and worked his way through there. I don't want somebody who's never done the job to be in charge of other deputies. That's just the way it is. I want somebody who started at the bottom and went all the way to the top, or at least worked his way towards the top. That's one. There's more respect that way to
Mm.
the bottom line people, and
Yeah.
you have a better understanding. But you need to have somebody that you can look up to and ask questions. If you got questions something, how do I do X Y Z? We need to be able to answer that question. And no offense, a trooper, if all they've done is highway patrol, they're not going to answer that question because they don't know themselves. I'm
Mm.
not trying to be ugly. I'm trying to be mean, but
No, it
there is
makes
just
sense. I mean,
there's a big difference between highway patrol. Most people in the general public don't know the difference. I mean, they see a trooper, they see a deputy, they think we all do the same thing, but we just don't. Um,
Mm.
Highway patrol don't work homicide cases. They don't work rape cases. They don't work armed robberies. They never work a shooting in occupied dwelling cases. They don't go out there and investigate property crime cases. All they do is they work traffic accidents. They work, they write speeding tickets. There is a small group of them that do work some drugs. They do drug interdiction. I mean, they got there's some troopers, but they're a very small group that work drug interdiction. So you got those group of troopers, but they're very few and in between. But outside of that, they don't do the other stuff. There's so much more. They don't do civil. Only a deputy sheriff anyway only does civil stuff, and they go out doing executions. They're seizing property for writ of executions. The office sheriff's office is responsible for all the jails, and then the jail is the biggest liability the sheriff has anyway. So I've worked in a
What do you
jail.
mean by that? Tell me more about that. What does that mean that the jails? Because I've heard that before. The jails are the biggest liability.
Yeah, well, when the inmate's in jail, anything happens to that inmate is a sheriff's responsibility. If their wellness, if they get sick, if they get injured, all that falls on the sheriff and the county basically. So
Mm.
their well-being is the responsibility of the sheriff. So if they get hurt or killed or die in there, an investigation has to be done. The reason they should be bringing the SBI in to do that investigation to make sure it wasn't at neglect of the sheriff, that the reason they died or whatever. Because like I said, even their health care is the responsibility of the sheriff. So if I mean, like the current jail is not the sheriff's fault in this situation, but the current jail is dilapidated so bad that there's some major mechanical issues in that place, and it's
Right
overcrowded
now.
too. Yes, right now. I mean,
Wow.
the jail's capacity is 130. I think it's 113 people is all it's supposed to have. They got over 160 in there right now. So
what?
when you have the
So what is
overcrowding,
that? What is the biggest? I guess. So what is the? Excuse me, man. I got some. Uh, I guess
well,
so. What is the majority of the crimes, if there are? What are the statistics that's causing this overcrowding, or is it just there's just so many people breaking the law that there's just no place to
well,
put
you
them?
got yeah. That I mean, that's a lot of. I mean, I don't know the exact statistics in Clark County. The problem is the population has blown up so much. That jail was built in
Mm.
1995,
Okay.
Wow.
so I mean, it's 30 years old or 31 years old this year. So I mean, it's over 30 years old, and it was probably built under what it should have been in the first place. I mean, you need a minimum, and I'm saying minimum of 300 bed capacity jail right now, because you go the new jail is going to be, you got to think 30, 40 years ahead of time, and they didn't have the
Right.
ability to actually add another pod later on, so they don't have to build another jail. Because I mean, you
Mm.
realistically, they would have if they took everybody off their electronic monitoring, if they brought the other 20 some odd people, because at the forum that we had, Nyberg said there was 20 people they had already in other jails. They're housed in other jails. So that put 183 inmates they've got. He said they had like 48 that's allowed electronic monitoring. So you're over 200 inmates right to start with, and
Yeah.
we're not even in the hot season. Right now we're in the wintertime. So we have what, 500,000 people that come through Carteret County during the summer months.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be
Wow.
drunks or fights or whatever, whatever the reason is that they're coming to jail. I mean, you're going to be probably pushing 300 people going to come in that jail to in and out. So I mean, you need to have a
So
300 bed minimally jail, because the overcrowding can also cause health issues and health problems. But the jail is it's the biggest liability of the sheriff is that jail.
now on that topic, being that the current federal administration is so pro law enforcement, are there any types of grants or anything like that that could be used in correlation with maybe county and state to build a new jail?
Well, I know
To
the
build a new?
the listen to one of the county commissioners, Chris Chadwick, one of the GOP meetings we had. They received a $5 million grant from the state towards the jail. Now I think they bought the land. They already owned the land they were going to build the new jail on.
Mhm.
And they've set aside $15 million for the jail. So they've got $20 million. Well, I guess they already bought the land, so they used $5 million to buy the land. So they already own the land. The problem is some of the commissioners have been kicking the can down the road for several years. I spoke to one of the other county commissioners. He says from the time they first started about talking about this, the building the jail, if they actually start building it when they first talked about doing it, now the cost is going up $6 million from if they started back then instead of waiting until now. Well, they ain't started it now, so it's already $6 million more now than it would have been back then. And they keep right on kicking the can down the road. The cost not going to go down; it's keep going up. And they're
Right.
talking about, I mean, they say it could be it's upward like $60 million to build a jail. But the problem is what they're not. And this is something I'm going to bring up is the problem they're not thinking about is the fact that if the state comes in and shuts that jail down, and it's happened to other jails in other counties because it happened to Beaufort County Jail because I saw it. If the state comes in and says your jail's well over capacity and people are getting sick, so we're shutting your jail down, then you're going to have to take those 200 inmates and you're going to have to put them all over in other jails. And it's going to cost the county at the low end, minimally $75 per inmate per day. Well, that translates to about almost $6 million a year. That don't include the cost of sending deputies to transport them back and forth to court. So you're going to be pushing probably $7 million a year, between $6 and $7 million a year cost to the county, and it's going to take what? Supposed to take Billy Jail 5 years or longer. So
Well, and even that, wouldn't that put an additional stress on the deputies as far as manpower, because now they're going to have to transport
yeah, see, right
and
now they've been using part-time deputies or part-time guys. Most of them are retired to do the most of transports. But see, all of those guys are limited to 1,000 hours a year. That's all they can work. If not, their retirement will take a hit. The retirement stops,
okay.
so they can only work 1,000 hours a year. But if you're working them a lot, 6 months, they're done out. They run out of time. They can't work no more. So then then you're having to use your full-time guys to do it. So it creates a problem. So, like I'm saying, is if the county don't do something very, very soon, if the state comes in and shuts that jail down, they're going to be in a world of problems. It's going to be from a $60 million jail to $100 million jail because you're going to have to throw in the cost of housing them somewhere else.
It definitely
And
seems to be a
Wow.
kind of a, whether it's the jail or certain projects in this area, that they've gotten money allotted years ago and they just keep sitting on it and sitting on it. And now, well, whether it's inflation or just the price of everything going up, and I mean, as sure as well as you know, it's, I mean,
it ain't going to
you
go
don't even
down.
know next week what the price of construction materials are going to be. You know, it's hard to
Yeah,
get a quote.
it's not going to go down. That's for certain. I mean, it's
No,
definitely, and maybe I know the rate of inflation has slowed down, but it still ain't going to go down. It's going to be where it is, a bit higher. It's not going to go down.
and
The problem is they think we're saving the county money if we don't build it, but you're not really saving them money. You can cost them more money later on.
right.
The county is. I was looking at the only stats I could find, and the population was under 50,000 30 years ago, but now it's over 70,000 people. But you're not taking into account the 500,000 that come to our county during the summer months.
Right.
Tourism. So I mean, it's just ridiculous how many. We get so many people here. It's just an influx of people, and this jail is just not adequate. Plus, it's
Well,
already
so
got.
is that something definitely then safe to say that, as if you were the sheriff, that you would try to push to get this new jail built as soon as
Absolutely.
possible?
Absolutely, because I mean, some of the commissioners are all about it, are for it. I can tell they're very for it. They know that it needs to be built. Some other commissioners are not for it, but I'm going to, of course, I'm
What's
going to
their
use a spreadsheet. I'm going to show the numbers. And I'm going to say, here's your situation, because I don't think they
right?
realize the situation honestly. But I know just working up there and find other, like I said, Beaufort County Jail, their jail was shut down, and when you start having to have to house them you can't house them on one jail because not one jail can hold all your inmates. So you're gonna have to go all kinds of inmates all over the state. So
Why would anybody be against a new jail or reconstruction of the jail?
I guess they just I don't know. They think they're saving the county money by not building the jail, but realistically, they're just going to cost the county more money in the long run. I mean, I don't
What
see.
commissioners do you got to deal with? The county commissioners?
Yes, see, the county commissioner controls all the purse strings. I mean, they control when it comes to money, they control all the money. The sheriff control once the sheriff gets the budget, the sheriff decides how to spend the budget. But
Mm.
the county decides what you get.
Mm.
I mean, that's I mean, they're the one who decides whether you're going to get a jail or not get a jail. But I mean, I'm gonna have to work with them, and I'm gonna work with them the very best I can. But I'm gonna lay it on the line with them, explain to them like, here's your situation. If we don't do this, you can be going from a $60 million jail to $100 million jail, because if we get shut down by the state, and that's a very big possibility, then it's going to take you 5 years to build a new jail, and you're going to be looking at another $30 million to house at least. And I'm just on the low end, $30 million more to build to house them somewhere else while you're building the jail, because it's $75 on the low end, but it could be as much as $100 a day for inmates and some other jails. So you're
Wow.
looking at still $6 million plus another $1 million for all the transporting and paying the deputies going back and forth to get them, because every time they come to jail for something, you got to go pick them up and bring them for court.
Shane, do you feel like you've had plenty of ways to get this out? Because I hadn't even heard about this jail thing. Where are you able to like talk about this stuff to the constituents to get this out? Because I'm sure a lot of people hear this and be like, yeah,
well,
we
I
need to get
mean, at
Shane
this
in
point,
there.
I'm just trying to get my message out. I haven't really. I mean, the only time I've discussed anything about the jail was just as that VFW forum we had, because they
Mhm.
asked us the questions. I mean, I'm familiar with it just because they asked the question. I knew about it, but I mean, I know about the condition of the
Mhm.
jail. And of course, me and Madiba both agreed that yes, the jail needs to be built. It does need to be built. I know it needs to be built. Like I said, that jail is
Okay.
31 years old. I mean, like I said, it was there when I left in 1998. Um,
Wow.
I don't know
Yeah.
I didn't know the population of the numbers. So I'm out on the inside of there. He told the numbers is the reason I know them now. Obviously, it
Okay.
fluctuates from day to day, but
Yeah.
it's still overcrowded.
That's, but that's not a place where you guys diverge as far as
No,
your
that when
platform
it comes
goes.
to the jail, I mean, we both agree that new jail needs to be built without question. I mean, the sheriff's office has grown. I mean, the county's grown, and when the
Yeah.
county grows,
Yeah.
your agencies have to grow. All
Mhm.
these people coming in here, it taxes your not just the sheriff's office, but your fire and EMS, because everything
Yeah.
it puts more on us, and you have to grow with that. It's like I know they don't raise taxes. I don't want my tax rate. Why do you need to raise taxes for? I just saw in the paper the other day they were getting another 8 point something million more than they expected in tax growth just because of the growth of the county. So why you got to raise tax when you're getting more money? Like what? You need to use
Mm.
that money towards your emergency services. I mean, because that's the reason why you're getting more money, because the population here has grown, or at least the property value has grown, and you need to grow your emergency services to protect that property and the people that's in it.
Amen. Yeah. Amen. Well, we're sort of we got a little bit more time. I know. Wanted to hit anything you didn't get a chance to talk. I don't know if you've talked about it yet,
Yeah,
but anything you wanted to talk about that you didn't get a chance to talk about last time.
yeah. I want to talk about some other things. Some other programs we're going to talk about doing. Like one of the things that's going to do is make sure all the mental health crisis is always the issue. That's always going to be a problem. And of course, technically, the state is responsible for handling the mental patients of the state. There's a breakdown with that. They need to do a lot more than they're doing. My thing on it is make sure all the deputies are CIT trained, which is the crisis intervention team. They have specialized training, kind of recognize it and work with other service providers to get them to come in. And in the event, we can hopefully refer them out instead of having to take them to jail. That'll help with jail population too. But if we can refer them to crisis intervention service providers instead of locking them up. Now, if you get that situation, you got a choice but lock them up if they're assaulting somebody or something. You don't have a choice in that respect. But if they're just in a situation where they're a danger to themselves, danger to others, we need to obviously take them to the hospital, have them involved, committed, and let the doctor make the assumption on or the evaluate them to see if they can maybe send them off somewhere to get some assistance. Um,
Um,
but
that brings up
that's
a
something.
quick question for me. I'm not sure if you know the number right off the top of your head, where I'm thinking, the jail population, like, do you know what percentage of veterans are in your guys' jail right now?
I do
To
not.
where perhaps, I mean, because there's a ton of programs out there, and I know that, even if you don't have 100% rating and you're a veteran, if you're in like addiction or something, you could go check yourself into one of the VA hospitals and you got a detox, and then maybe they could get you, maybe that, I don't know, maybe it's very minimal, but sometimes people might be surprised. And being that we have but imagine we got a pretty high veteran population around here, just with all the bases and everything.
I know that their close VA is in the Greenville. They built a new one in Greenville. They got it there now.
Yeah.
I'm all about partnerships, and I want to work with every service provider that's worthy for service provider. I want to definitely work with service providers for providers, and I want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to help them, and really anybody who's has mental health issues or addiction issues, because those people are going to end up coming to jail. That's usually where they come up at, and that's unfortunately that's where they end up a lot, is in our jails. So, I'm also going to make sure there's some programs in the jail itself to have counselors come in and speak to them people while they're in jail too. And then maybe that way continue once they get out, and maybe continue those programs as well. So I've got a lot of initiatives of things I want to get done if I get elected. Because jail ain't really the place for them. If we can get them help and get them the help they need, maybe they'll never come back to jail. So that's another goal.
Well, and
yeah, it sticks with me, that story you told about the girl who really, I don't know if she should or shouldn't have been in there, but you were able to talk to her mom or her guardian or whatever, and drop her bond if she agreed to get her directly into a halfway house for mental health facility rehab. Yeah. And what rehab was that? Is there somebody that you have a close connection to already as far as rehab goes in this area?
Well, I know they got the one in sea level, but I'm gonna work with probably more than one.
Yeah.
Actually, my cousin works with a company that he's working on. I don't know all the details of it yet because I'm not at that point yet. But I am gonna talk to several. I'm not gonna just choose one company. I want to find out, which one's the best, what's their track record, what's their turnaround on, I want to make sure they're successful in what they do. And I'm kind of going to vet them, so to speak, but I want to make sure the ones we're choosing for these people are going to work for them. And there might be different ones that work better for others than than others. But if they're in some of these, and some of the problem when you go to these rehabs is they're having to get them dry first, and like some of these 90-day programs, they're having to get them dry. The first 90 days get them dry. Well, if they're in jail for the first 30 days, they're getting dry on that part. So the next 90 days might help them a little bit better. So
that's interesting.
So instead of 90 days, it'd be 120 days, so to speak. But also have them come into the jail. My goal was hopefully have them come into the jail and do some counseling with them while they're in the jail the first 30 days, and see that'd be part of the qualification to see if they're qualified to go out and do into that. So there's a lot of things I'm trying to get done. Like I said, well, man, I got to get in there. I got to get elected first and get in there to see if we can get these things done. But that's what I want to do anyway. I'm gonna do everything I can do to get it done. And I've had these people on the other side that's talking on social media about different things and trying to put me down on certain things like federal grants. One guy was talking about you just can't get federal grants because you gotta have tier systems. Well, tier systems work for the state grants, and not as there are some issues with it, but that's why you have a grant writer to work through the hoops to get federal grant money. And there's parts of the county that qualifies for that, so you work on those parts of the area that's lower income. But of course,
even that, what would you? I guess it'd probably be again. I'm asking numbers that you might not have, because I was talking with Judah about it. As far as I didn't realize, as far as the homeless situation here in Carteret County, and having a place for homeless people to go. Where, I'm curious, what's the percentage of inmates that are homeless, and how do they become inmates? Because now they're committing crimes in order just to make it, or whatever they have to do, and all that stuff. Where, I mean, it all kind of plays hand in hand.
that brought me back to a story that happened. Actually, when I was a Beverly police officer, and
Hmm.
that's about when we had the Hardys. Hardys ain't there anymore, but it's right by the old bridge. And
Hmm.
I remember going up there, and the guy had they called me in there. He went there and stole some beer. He was sitting outside, sat right there on the outside of the door. He says, "I stole this beer, and I'm cold, and I'm gonna go to jail." I was like,
Mm,
"Wow, okay." I mean,
yeah.
I had nowhere
Yeah.
else to go. I said, "Well, come on." I mean, we weren't no. He was cooperating, but he said, "I stole this beer, and I'm cold, and I'm gonna go to jail. I'm hungry." So, okay.
It's not a bad idea. I mean, it's
I mean,
illegal.
I didn't have a
Don't
choice
do that
because
at
he
home,
still. I
kids.
mean, they called us up there. He said, "I stole the beer," or I went to Hardy's, by the Hardy's at the store right beside the Hardy's, whatever it
Yeah,
was. But I was like,
yeah,
"All right."
Right.
I mean, I have a choice. I mean, I felt bad for the guy, but but yeah,
yeah.
you're right. That happens. That does happen. And from what I've told, is a lot of the homeless people here are right around like the Walmart area and probably back there in some homeless camp. And that was
Hmm.
something I was talking. I said I want to try to work with not with probably like Moorhead Police Department, 'cause I think that's where majority of them are at. But I'm gonna try to find service providers for them too, because my understanding ain't but one really homeless shelter here, and it's mostly just for men. It's not even for women, and it's just
Hmm.
for
Right.
nighttime. I know the homeless shelter in Greenville, that was they only did nighttime only. That's like it got down to a certain low temperature, then they would let them come during the daytime, but they couldn't come in there if they were drinking or high or nothing else. They were
So
SOL.
Hope Mission,
Mm,
Yeah,
Hope Mission
yeah.
does have beds and services. It's not
right,
just at nighttime, but again, they're limited to how many they can take, and
right.
it's a sober environment also.
Yep.
Like you
Sober
said, they
Okay.
have
environments.
to
My understanding
pass.
is only for men though. They don't have any for
Yeah,
women.
right,
So that's a
right.
problem. I don't know how many homeless women we got, but it's got to be a few, I'd imagine. But yeah, I
I'm
mean, that's
sure they're
definitely
out there.
something. Oops, sorry about
Sorry.
that. That's something. I mean, problem is a lot of these things it needs to be. I mean, service providers are out there, and we obviously need to get work with them as much as possible. I mean, some of this stuff is out of control of the sheriff. Um,
Right.
I mean, I'm gonna try
Yeah.
to work with whoever I can, and the state needs to step up. It's like the mental health crisis. Really, that is the responsibility of the state, and the state has really failed. I mean, I hate to say it, but I've taken a lot of involuntary commitment people, and I took them to Cherry Hospital and other places in the state, and the mental health system is crap, to put it bluntly.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
That's
they really need to step up and fix
mm.
the mental health system. And then there's some people that of mental health that just they're never going to get
did,
right. I mean, I don't think I guess you put them on some other kind of medication to make them function somewhat. I mean, there's this guy at Greenville. I remember the first time I ever met him. God bless him. But first time I met him, he had this gold paint around his face where he was huffing paint. That's why he used to
nothing.
get high. And I remember telling me, he said, "Gold is the best." I was like, "Oh Lord Jesus." Well, years went by, and he was out of it like all the time. We had to
Yeah.
arrest him several times. He assaulted his mother. And they were old. Assaulted his mother's boyfriend. He was old. Almost killed him one night. We had to fight him all the time. He was just out of it. I mean, he was just gone. There's
Mm,
probably no fixing him ever.
Well, didn't they do
yeah.
away with state hospitals like years back? I thought that's one of the issues that they did away or reduced them, and it released a bunch of people
I
back
think they
out
reduced
into
them a
the.
lot. I think as far I mean, it's been a long time since I done transport, but as far as I know, I think Cherry Hospital's still operating. I'm not 100% sure, but you're right. I
Yeah.
think
They still
they cut
they
a lot of
still have
funding from it.
right. Yeah. They still have a hospitalization, and it's just institutional like mental hospitals where they used to just keep them indefinitely and coercively, without their permission.
Yeah, I
That
don't think they do that
that
anymore.
was they don't do that anymore.
No,
So
they
now
go there. They'll keep them 3 or 4 days, and they don't have insurance to get
yeah,
you out even faster. And they're right back on the street. And yeah, the mental health system is broken.
yeah,
That's out of control of the
well,
sheriff's office, really. But
yeah, it is. But that brings me back to the question. So God wants you to do this. You heard a clear call from God to do this. What do you? I'm curious as to is there a partnership that God's building between the church and not like church and state getting together, but is there something where is there a role to play for the church to come in and maybe you as an instrument to bring this in, or or am I way off base on this? What is it exactly that God's doing with this?
Well, I believe you're right because like my church, they actually have a drug. They have meetings at least once or twice a month, and it's
Hmm.
for addicts, and it's just to come in and talk and pray and a support group basically. And we've got there in my church alone. There's actually several uh, addicts or former addicts that's in our church, and that they have testified that God has turned them around and saved their life.
Hmm.
And like I said, there is life after addiction. But they
Right.
have a very good support group. And they like I said, it's once or twice a month they have these meetings at my church specifically. And I know there's several other churches throughout the county too. But I think that God works in so many different ways. God loves all of us. Don't matter who you are, what your background is, He don't care, and He wants all of us
Right.
to come to Him. So and it's our responsibility as Christians to help and bring those people to Him. So whatever we
Hmm.
can do to do that, like I said, it's just like I'm just big on trying to do what I can and I feel as in the position of sheriff, my job is to protect this county and do
Yeah.
everything I can to
Right.
save everybody, not just the people that are law-abiding citizens, but also the ones that are out here that are lost, and
Yeah.
bring those lost
Amen.
people not just to be law-abiding citizens, but maybe bring back to Christ. Because if we
Amen.
do that, He'll save them. I won't save them
Amen.
because I can't
Amen.
save them. Only God can save everybody. God can save anybody. Don't
Well,
matter who they are, how lost they are, how bad of a person they've been in their lifetime. It doesn't matter. He can save
and
anybody.
and
Anybody can
even
turn their
that,
life around.
with
Yeah.
what you were saying, and that's a good point where, I've got a half brother out in Northern California. He's doing well now. He did some time in San Quentin, about 8 years. I got another buddy that, and it's like, again, I've never been in that situation. I don't know, but obviously you're going to have your repeat, your career
Hmm.
convicts that's all they know. They're just going to be the way they're going to be. And
Yeah,
sometimes, and then there's crimes that you're never going to be when, especially, well, when it comes to the freaking
yeah,
sexual nature of crimes, like those are just things. But with that, like you said, people make mistakes, people do things, and I'm not saying that they don't need to be held accountable, but sometimes it seems that when they get out, if someone does their time and they get out, it's like, what's the best
Somewhere
job
to
they can
go.
find? McDonald's,
Yeah.
yeah.
you know,
That's the
and
problem.
it's like, and where it's like trying to get reintegrated back into society and say, well, I mean, you still got to have dignity as a human. And I get it, that McDonald's is better than no job. And I tell some people when they say that, like, well, you go work at McDonald's for a week
Mhm.
and tell me how it would work, where it's like,
Yeah,
you got to give people dignity. And that, it seems, I know that, when they get out, they go to halfway houses and stuff like that. And they try to find a place, and, your credit's probably ruined by the time you get out of prison. I imagine that
yeah,
you're not paying bills, whatever. And it just seems that's, and again, I know not everybody, but to me, just to keep that revolving door, that those people that get out, they can't get nothing going, because even if they stay clean for a little bit, and they're trying to make it and they just can't get hired anywhere. And it's like, well, I got to go back to the life that I knew that makes that easy money. And they
yep.
just keep caught up in that
It's so funny
cycle.
you brought that up because I was talking to a man right here. He owns he builds boats, and he's got a pretty good company. He's got like three different places, and he works partly up there at not Parker but Jerry Bay. But he's got different companies. But he builds boats, and he brings actually ex-cons and tries to integrate them to help them out, to get them
Mm.
back in society. And he was talking about the same kind of thing. He's got his program for the DOC. I said, I would love. I told him, I said, I would love to actually partner with you too, and kind of do the same DOC type thing. Is to get the people out of jail. He said he would be all about it. And you're right. It's like he was talking about the whole credit thing. They ain't got no credit. They ain't got no money. What are they going to do? How are they going? They can't get a They can't get an apartment because of, excuse me, because credit or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a
Yeah.
problem.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Got
Well,
frog in my throat.
maybe
Well,
this is all three of our missions from God. Maybe whether you become sheriff or not, we got, because I just see it, and not to
it
segue from
is.
that, but the homeless issue here. I kind of became privy to that, and it's and I'm not trying to pass the buck, but it just seems like we all want to do these flashy things for this community and, have this tournament and that tournament and this tournament. And I'm like, that's all good and we need things, but hey,
Yeah.
there's people out there that are really struggling that are falling through the cracks still in 2026. And I feel that there's no reason for it to me in this day and age that should be happening.
Well, and it's very clear in the Bible that it is our responsibility. If Jesus says, if you didn't go and visit those people, your brethren in jail, when they were in jail, I didn't know, I don't know you, and
Yep.
I think it's very clear that this is one of the things that we're supposed to be doing. And it's one of the things I'm supposed to be doing. And I would love to be reminded of that. And so I'm glad you're bringing it up, Shane, and you too, Jeff. And I think it is something that needs to be pursued. It is something that the church, there's people in the church that do a great job of it. I don't do a very good job. I need to get back to doing that. Oh, we lost Shane. His phone probably died.
All right.
Oh, sorry.
He's back. He's back. That's all right.
Yeah, let me.
Sorry about that.
I gotta fix something. Hang on.
Well,
That's all right.
and even real quick, and something that I've always thought about also, and again, having my half brother, and he does okay. He's doing fine. He makes money. He's got a tree service company, but he still has that outlaw convict mentality from having served time in San Quentin for 8 years, because I'm sure, as well as whether it's San Quentin or whether it's out here, you got to play the politics and the games when you're in prison with the gangs and with the races and all that stuff. And that's the other thing that I don't think people really understand, the dynamics that goes on inside when it's like, maybe you go in as a dude that screwed up, and next thing you know, you come out and, dude, you've been part of this gang for 8 years and that gang for 8 years. And it's like, with the reality, how do you detach from it? Because let's just be real, you don't. It's hard to, there's a lot of stuff that goes on, that, again, where I say, like you said, the credit thing, and, you fill out an application, and what does it ask you? You ever been convicted of a felony? And especially if it's a drug conviction, anyway, that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
Save that for another day.
It's something we could continue to, and we'd love to continue to talk to you, Shane, whether you win, and we hope you do, or you don't. We'd love to have you back on, and to continue talking about this, and maybe even to continue to raise the awareness about this in the church in particular, because I think it is something that's needed. We're out of time, but was there anything else that you had for us, Shane? Anything else that you wanted just a little bit more time to talk about, something that was on your heart that you don't feel people know about you, anything like that?
I never kind of got through some other initiatives, but they go on the website and look at it. I don't want to go on about some of them. I mean, I got several initiatives I'm just trying to do. Like I said, the bottom line is, besides the fact that I truly believe in my heart that God called me to run for sheriff, that's why I'm running for sheriff. And like I said, pretty much my entire family lives in Carter County. I'm doing this to protect them and everybody else's county. I have the best interest in the citizens of this county at heart. I ain't doing this for no title. I certainly ain't doing it for no money. I'm doing it because I have the best interest for everybody in this county. I want to protect them. I want to bring programs I know that will save their lives and will help people that are in addiction, and just to make life better here in the county. I'm trying to do things to, like, put more deputies on the street. We don't have enough coverage, things like that. I'm just trying to make things a lot better for the sheriff's office. I want to try to elevate it, give them a lot more education and training, so they're just better deputies all the way around, and doing the best we can for our citizens.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, and I do really appreciate you, Shane. Appreciate your heart.
Yeah.
That really resonates. It really resonates when you say, I'm not here just to protect the innocent, but to help everybody. Help the criminals. They need help too, and that's a lot. That means a lot to me, coming from what could be our future sheriff. So thank you, Shane, and Thank you, Jeff. Jeff, did you have any more questions? Anything you want to say?
No, good luck, and hopefully we'll see you here soon. And the 3rd it's next. Hey, the Friday's tomorrow. The 3rd's what, Tuesday? So we'll know.
Thursday, Tuesday.
We'll know.
Tuesday night, we'll know the results.
Yes,
the
sir.
last push. Do you got any big plans this? Shane, do you have any big plans this weekend as far as any kind of like get-togethers or anything you want to push?
Actually, yes.
Your last push.
I'm having a meet and greet at the Refuge Church, which is on Mullins Drive on Harkers Island. It's at 6:30 p.m. Anybody's welcome to come. I'm going to, of course, go over some of my platform, and anybody's welcome to come ask me questions if they have questions about something. I'm happy to talk to anybody. I'm happy to answer questions to anybody. Anybody's welcome to come. Like I said, 6:30 p.m. is on Mullins Drive on Harkers Island. You can look it up, Refuge Church, and please come out. I'll of course post it later, but I'm trying to. I just want to ask if anybody got questions.
Okay, where is it going to be? One more time.
It's on Mullins Drive. I think it's 109 Mullins Drive. It's hard to find. Once you go on Mullins Drive, turn left, and it's the very end on the right. You can't miss it. It's at the end of the road.
And we can find all the information on Shane Guthrie for sheriff.org, right?
Yep. The meet and greet's actually on Facebook. So the meet and greet's on Facebook.
Okay.
My Facebook website, yes.
Yeah, which you can get to through going to his to the website.
Shane Guthrie for Sheriff on the Facebook. Yep.
Okay, that too. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, everybody, tuning in. We had Teresa Morton gave us a thumbs up. Thank you for that. And did we get any? Did you see any comments, Jeff?
I didn't, and I don't know if I'm monitoring my Facebook right or not, but I couldn't see. I couldn't see any. We'll get it figured out one of these days.
We had Karen E. Lutz and Matt Crawford watching. So thank you, everybody. And we had a lot of other people tuning in and that will tune in. And hopefully that will help your efforts, Shane. And we'll talk to you later.
Great. Thank you.
And follow us on Spotify. All of our episodes are on Spotify also.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Good night, everybody.